Hey guys, how is it all going? So, thank you so much for your patience on this. I was supposed to have this out days ago, but unfortunately for me, last week, I caught a bad dose of the man flu. And I have to be honest with you, for about 72 hours, it was touch and go. I didn't think I was going to make it. I'm slightly exaggerating, but it was pretty bad, and I'm at the end of it now. I've still got a bit of a sniffle, a bit of a cough. So please forgive me if I do occasionally sniffle or cough throughout this review. I will try my damnedest not to. But my God, do I want to get this review out. So thank you again so much for joining me for what is my Thanksgiving movie review. And it's been a while since we've had an Eli Roth movie. I can't remember the last one that came out before this. Not off the top of my head anyway, but I'm a bit of a fan of Eli Roth's. I like more of the stuff that he's done than not. So I was pretty excited for this movie, especially since it was an original Grindhouse trailer back with the Death Proof and Planet Terror movie, which is now, I was working this out before, it's like 16 years ago. Maybe a little bit more, maybe 17 years ago. It's a hell of a long time. I mean, the only movie I can recall off the top of my head that was made into a full length from a Grindhouse trailer was Machete. And I have to be honest with you, I have a real soft spot for them two movies. I know they're not great, I know, but I do have a general soft spot for them because they're just dumb fun. And this is what I wanted this to be, just dumb fun. I didn't want anything serious. I didn't want a serious slasher movie. I just wanted a fun time. And that is exactly what you get with Thanksgiving, is a fun time. Now, just to quickly get into the plot of Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, there's a Black Friday here once Thanksgiving. And we've all seen them social media videos where people just lose their minds at this place. And they're just barging through the door, they're breaking through glass, like doors are falling off. They're trampling on security guards. People are fighting, getting punched. People are seriously getting hit. People have passed away, believe it or not, at these things. And I would say at the beginning of this movie, this happens in Thanksgiving. I would probably say if I didn't see anything beforehand, it's over-exaggerated. And it really isn't. People generally lose their minds at this thing, and shame on you, man. Seriously, Christ, like, it's not that important. I have worked retail once, many, many years ago, and it wasn't a Thanksgiving, it was Boxing Day. And that was bad enough, and that made me get out of retail fast. I mean, really fast. I'm like, I ain't doing this every year. Fuck that. So I have sympathy. If any of you are retail workers watching this video, I have pure sympathy for you. Trust me, I really do. Especially when it comes to Black Fridays and Christmas. And I honestly, my heart goes out to you. But anyway, a tragedy happens. Of course it does. People end up dying. And then it jumps to a year later, and there's someone dressed up as a pilgrim calling himself John Carver, and is taking out victims one-on-one who are directly involved with the offence that happened a year before. So, like I said earlier on in this video, this movie is just pure dumb fun. It's cheesy. I love it. I absolutely loved it. It was exactly what I needed. It was exactly what I wanted. And it was exactly what I was looking for. And Eli Roth does not disappoint. I will probably say this is my favourite Eli Roth movie. Now, I really enjoy Cabin Fever. I love the first Hostel movie. I don't mind the second one. I think it takes a massive step down to the first, but I don't mind the second. I really do enjoy his film called Aftershock, which came out, I think, about 10, 11 years ago. There was not a lot really said about that, really, and I don't think it gets the love it deserves. I actually think that's a dumb fun time as well. And The Green Inferno, I have actually never seen, so I do need to get around to that. But I'm not a big fan of, like, cannibal horror or, like, cannibal horror. It's not really my thing, so that's one of the reasons why I haven't checked it out. But I have heard good things about it, so I will get around to it at some stage. But as it stands, I would say Eli Roth's Thanksgiving is my favourite Eli Roth movie. And it just comes down to the fact that it reminded me so much of just like a normal, typical 80s slasher movie. Now, I've seen reviews compare it to like 1990s slashers, like your, I know you did last summer in Scream. And I get that because it does have Scream vibes in it, particularly with a Guess Who the Killer Is scenario to the movie. But I found more like 80s slasher homage and love in it. And it just does what it says on the tin. The killer, I think we've got a new horror icon in John Carver. I like the get-up as the Pilgrim. And he is brutal, man. Like, some of the kills are just so over the top. I loved it. And when it comes to effects, sometimes it looked a little off and cheesy and hokey. But I felt that just led to the charm of the movie. I mean, there's a couple of instances, like there's one where this woman literally gets like chopped in half with like a dustbin and a car. It was hilarious, man. I laughed my head off at that part. And the same victim just before, he sticks her head into like a sink full of water and then opens a fridge door in the kitchen and then puts her head against the door, and you can just see like it's stuck to the door and she's got to pull herself off. And I was wincing at that, man. Anything like that, like my skin just crawls. And it's the same with, like, you know, if you've watched any review with me and it's anything to do with eyes, guys, you know, like, I hate anything to do with eyes in horror movies, but I am the same when it comes to ears. If you lose your sight and your hearing, like, I couldn't think of anything worse. And there's one moment where this poor young girl just gets like I forget what he's got in his hands, but he just jams her into both ears and just pretty much makes her deaf. And I couldn't imagine like the pain of that. And I remember when that happened and I was just like, oh my God, John, no, man, just lay off. Stop being so harsh. But in saying that, I think it's one of the first times in kind of slasher horror movies where I was kind of rooting for the killer in this, because some of these characters that he's taken out are just awful people. They're just horrible. Particularly one in question, this guy who was pretty much filming the whole incident, what was happening on this Black Friday. I actually I liked him getting taken out. I didn't like him at all. The others, whatever. They're just the typical slasher horror movie characters. They're there to be slaughtered. And that's it, really. There's nothing exciting about them. There's nothing amazing about them. They're better than your usual, than what you get in other horror movies. The acting's fine, for the most part. You know, they all did a decent job. But mostly, they are there to be carved up. Do you see what I did there? Oh, and there's this one kill where he basically cooks this woman alive. And even that... Man, there was a lot of times I was squirming in my seat in this movie. Like, it is brutal. And the thing is with Eli Roth in these movies, he never, ever holds back on it. And I really appreciate him for that. He just, man, he gives you a full belt and shows you everything. And yeah, like I say, he does not hold back in this movie. And I am happy to have found out that this is getting a sequel, because I would watch many more of these movies. I really would. If you haven't guessed, guys, this is going to be a high score. I truly, highly, highly recommend it. If you just want to sit back and just watch a dumb, cheesy slasher movie, which is directed really well, the kills are really good, the killer is awesome, the characters are slightly better than your normal horror movie characters, but they are literally there just to be carved up and slaughtered, and that is exactly what happens. It does what it says on the tin. You will enjoy it. If you just want to throw back to like an 80s slasher horror movie, or as some other reviews have said, 90s, which I get, you will really enjoy this. Oh, and just as I popped into my head there, just before I give you my score, it is a kind of like a whodunit. You're kind of trying to figure out who the killer is. I thought it was pretty obvious. I got it pretty quickly. I am not going to lie. For whatever reason, when this certain character came back on the screen after the events of Black Friday, I was kind of like, I think it's you. And I was right. So I don't know whether that was just a pure lucky guess, but I actually think it's quite obvious who the killer is. But good luck with your deduction anyway. I think if you've got like half a brain cell, you will pretty much guess who it is. I don't think it's supposed to be so much of a mystery. It's just enjoy the ride of what is happening in front of your eyes. So guys, I am going to give Eli Roth Thanksgiving, I am going to give it a high 4.5 out of 5. I highly, highly recommend this movie, and I'm glad that we're getting a sequel and hopefully many more. So guys, have you seen Thanksgiving? Please leave a comment below. Did you know who the killer was? Did you guess who the killer was? And here's another question for you guys. If any of you's worked in retail, or you have worked in retail, have you experienced Black Friday? Have you kind of experienced the offence? Probably not to that extreme, what happens to this movie, I understand. But have you seen some weird things on Black Friday happening, even as a worker or as a customer? Whatever it is, guys, please leave a comment below. It is absolutely always a pleasure hearing from you. And, as always, please, take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you again real soon. Take care, guys. Goodbye now.